afternoon, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm Mike DiLisio, and I'm here to answer your questions, to sate your curiosity, so to speak. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I am coming through loud and clear, that my audio and video is sounding and looking okay. And so I'll give myself a moment to get the live chat to let me know if I'm doing all right. This show particularly is not great for my vanity because I feel like I need to wear my reading glasses so that I can see the comments and the questions that come up. So let's make sure everything sounds good, Daniel says. That's fantastic. Audio and video fine, says James Cartwright. All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started with this Q&A, how about a contest, huh? A contest? Yes. $10 in gift, like a gift code for GameNerds.com, which has a lot of the games that we talk about on this channel. So you can win, this is USA only, you can win a $10 gift code to GameNerds.com. All you need to do is write us at contest@dicetower.com. In the subject line, put the word happy. Apparently today is the International Day of Happiness. Did you know this? Because I didn't. I had no idea. But hey, I'm happy. I'm feeling happy, and hopefully you're happy. And you'll be especially happy if you can win this $10 gift code to GameNerds.com. In the subject line, well, you already got that happy, but in the body, put your name and address so that if you win, we can get you what you need to know for this code. All right, there's the contest. So it's lovely to be here. It is Monday afternoon, now officially afternoon, and this is going to be a interesting week for me, as I'm sure many of you know. I'm going to be moving at the end of this week, so. Let's see if we've got some questions that are already here. All right, I'm gonna scroll back a little bit and start to see if there are any questions early on so that I can. Okay, well, I won't go too far back. Here's a question from Hannah. That's actually not a question. Sorry. Here's a question from Beverly. Hannah was talking about leftovers, which, you know. Beverly. Hi, Mike. I was curious how you and your wife, Tiffany, met. Well, so this is one of those things where I think maybe in the past you would have been maybe hesitant to admit, but I think nowadays it's more and more common. I met my wife on eHarmony. Yes, it's true. I had been I wasn't big on dating. Actually, I wasn't really into dating apps at all. And I eventually got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm going to be more purposeful. I'm going to be intentional about trying to potentially meet somebody. And I didn't have the type of lifestyle where I was going to be necessarily meeting a bunch of people. So I thought, all right, well, I'm going to try this. I'm going to at least see if there's anything here. And I went with eHarmony because it was one you had to actually pay for, and you had to spend I spent a few hours on the questionnaires and stuff. So I thought that it might kind of be a little bit more, it might cater to people that were a little more serious about it. And so I signed up for eHarmony on, I want to say, a Friday evening. And I started talking to Tiffany, I want to say, the next day. And I believe that I had canceled my subscription within a couple of days after that. I knew that I had somehow hit the jackpot and that I would never get that lucky again. And so there you go. That's how I met Tiffany. All right. Let's see. Ryan asks, do I know if Tom has a list of overpowered cards that he doesn't have? I unfortunately don't know. I know that he talked about this. I think he has a list. You may want to just email him. If you want to email him at tom@dicetower.com. If he does have that list, I'm sure he would let you know, but I don't know offhand. I'll be visiting Florida in a few months. Any restaurants you'd recommend in the Orlando, Kissimmee, Tampa, Daytona area? Well, that's a lot of different areas, and I'm honestly not... I'm not a great resource for a lot of those areas because when I've gone to Orlando, it's only been to go to either Dice Tower Con or Dice Tower East now, or to Disney. And if you're going to Disney, there's plenty of places you can go at Disney Springs, which isn't even in the park. It's kind of like a retail area outside of it. And there's a lot of restaurants there that you can go to. In Tampa, Tiffany and I went to a place that I cannot remember the name of. Yeah, I'm not a lot of help here. I'm not a lot of help. Orlando, there is, I believe. Yeah, no, I don't know. Sorry, I'm not much help there. I'm not a lot of help on that one. All right. Chad asks, I know you're a big fan of Scythe. What are your expectations for expeditions? Chad, I'm going to try to go as best as I can with a completely open mind. It's impossible, right? It is impossible to go into it with a completely open mind because I already have so much familiarity with Scythe, and it's a game that it's in my top 10. So, or did it fall out? Was it 11? Anyway, it's in and around my top 10. I'm not expecting it to be a replacement for Scythe. I really just hope it's good. Really, that's all that's my expectation is that it'll be something that hopefully I enjoy. I haven't done a lot of research. I did pre-order it. I've seen a couple of the videos that Jamie has done. And, no, one. Actually, I just saw one. And from what I've seen, it looks interesting. But I don't want to go into it with a whole lot. I kind of want to go into it and just kind of discover it as I would on many new games. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's move on to more questions. And there have been some very, very kind comments in the chat wishing me well. So thank you. Bruce asks, anything sporadically bored coming in the future? Anything in the can, as it were? Well, Bruce, you'll be happy to know. Well, I don't know if you'll be happy or scared to know. We actually recorded an episode yesterday. So I'm actually shocked that Dan hasn't put it up yet because normally there's zero editing that goes on and they just get thrown up. For anybody who's not aware, Sporadically Bored with Mike and Dan is a podcast that I do very sporadically, as the name implies, with my co-host Dan Hughes of Dan and Cora Quest fame. And it is supposed to be a board game podcast, but we very rarely tend to talk about board games much. We talked about board games a bit in this last episode, actually. I'm ashamed to admit. But yeah, very soon, Bruce. We wanted to get one in before I moved because I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get set up in a studio area in my new place. James asks, do you think I'm assuming big box editions help or hinder getting games to the table? I feel like I'm the only one who thinks they help. James, I think it depends. I think it depends on how the organization of that big box is handled. I think there are some big boxes where the organization helps, and there's others where it may hinder. I think of the Petrichor big box. That one actually helps. I think it's quicker to set up Petrichor now than it was before. The Isle of Cats, that's another example of a game that's now in a big box that is much quicker to set up than it was before. I'm not convinced that Everdell is going to be as quick as it was to set up anymore. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure it will not be as quick to set up as it was before. I can tell you that it takes me longer to set up Scythe now in the Ultimate box because I have to kind of sort through what I want to play and not. So I think it just depends. It depends on the game. It depends on how that big box storage solution was organized and handled. When is the part where you tell us that this is a really elaborate, slightly early April Fool's joke? Sorry, it's not a joke. It is true, and I'm assuming you're talking about me moving, but not again. I can't emphasize this enough. Not leaving the channel. Still with Dice Tower full time. Still gonna be making my presence felt. Board Game Hype asks, what is the main thing you're going to miss about being in person with the Dice Tower staff? And the answer is in the question. Literally, being here in person with everybody. The camaraderie, the live shows, not being able to do a smorgasbord every week, not being able to do crowd surfing every week. That's going to be tough because I really enjoyed doing those shows. I really liked kind of bouncing off of the other people here in the studio. That's the hardest part, the camaraderie and that kind of just that I don't know, that vibe you get, that kind of bouncing off of each other, the creativity. That's the part that I'm going to miss. It's going to be a little bit harder being more solitary, doing stuff on my own. And so I'm going to try to come up with ways to try to alleviate that and mitigate that a little bit. So, I'm still going to be doing my DiLisio Factor live streaming. And so being able to interact with the chat is a nice way to kind of feel like you're interacting and things along those lines. Also, I'm going to be coming down here for spectaculars. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be back down here less than a month after moving because I'm coming back for the spring spectacular. And when I come down here, we're going to try to make sure that we get as much stuff done as we can so that we can get like top 10s filmed. We've already got at least two, I think, scheduled top 10s that are going to be recorded before I even leave. So hopefully that will kind of help that a bit. Torsten asks, how long were you a teacher? It was just shy of 20 years. I was on my 19th year of high school teaching social studies, mostly world history and sociology, although at various points I also taught U.S. history and other things along those lines. So just under 20 years. Nick wants to know if Tom's going to let me use the van to help me move. I don't, I hadn't even considered that. Nick, I haven't actually even seen the van yet. I haven't been I guess if I wanted to, I can go over and check it out, but I haven't seen it yet. So I don't even know if it's suitable for moving. But it's a good question. I'll have to look into that. All right, let's see here. Where are you going? I'm going to near Indianapolis, Indiana. It's where much of my family is around there, and my wife's family as well. It's where I moved to Florida from. It's not where I'm from. I'm from the West Coast, California. But I lived in Indiana for a number of years. That's where I taught and things along those lines. So I'll be going back to that area for the time being. Do you have a plan to keep the kiddies happy during the trip north? The plan is that they're going to be in Tiffany's car. And she, I think, is she's got all kinds. Let me tell you, I have to assume that she has put at least twice as much thought into getting the cats calmly and safely and happily to Indiana than she has into us. And I understand that. But yes, she's very much taking the lead on the cat transition process. So it's going to be challenging. Audio cutting in and out a bit, it says. I'm hoping that's not going to be. I'm going to scroll down just to make sure. Okay, no one's saying anything about audio. Good. Okay. So scrolling back up. All right, now Now I'm scrolling way back up here. I may miss a couple here because I was already way behind. Oh, man. Genway, thank you. That is very kind of you. Thank you for the super chat. This national treasure thing, I have a hard time, you know. Look, I will accept this in the spirit in which it is offered. So thank you. Okay, I think I'm back up to where I was here. I've already answered that one. Nick Wagner asks, is there anything up here in Michigan to get you and Tiffany to come up and visit? Maybe. Tiffany's mom is in Michigan, so I assume that we will be heading up there at some point, at least. So, yeah, maybe so. Are you familiar with the Indy area? And if so, what's your favorite gaming store there? Marion asks. Well, I am very familiar with the Indy area. I lived there for many, many, many years, and I'll be living there again. Look, this is a tough one for me because there's so many great stores in and around that area. Indy is a fantastic gaming city. But I worked for a couple of years at the Game Preserve in the north side of Indianapolis in the Keystone area. And so I'd have to go with that because I worked there for a number of years and I still know the manager there and a number of the people that work there. But there are some great game stores in the Indianapolis area. Better than in and around Miami, quite honestly. Hey Mike, I am from Mexico. How do you guys feel regarding the international fandom that you guys have and that you guys are bringing the joy of this hobby all around the world? This is something that I think is so cool. And happy to hear from Mexico. Just the fact that we're seeing games coming from parts of the world that maybe we hadn't seen before. Clearly, people play games all over the place. But just seeing now these higher profile games coming from areas of the world that we hadn't really seen them come from before, and seeing people at conventions, more and more at the conventions that I go to, I'm interacting with people from parts of the world I hadn't before. Now, clearly in Essen, last year was my first year in Essen, so that made sense that I'm going to see people there at Essen from parts of the world that I wouldn't normally see in conventions here in the United States. But even here in the States, I'm seeing and interacting with people from a lot more parts of the world. And you mentioned Mexico. I'm meeting lots of people from Mexico, from Central America, from South America. So it's great. I think it's fantastic. If the Dice Tower has anything to do with that, I'm sure we all would take a point of pride in that. But yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. The more people, the more cultural elements, the more voices, all of it's for the better. All of it's for the better. All right. Well, this is an interesting question. Approximately how much time did you spend making your top 100 list? You know, I didn't really keep track of it. It was a bit quicker this year because I had, previous data to build from. But hours, it took many hours, but I don't remember exactly how many hours it took. Are you able to elaborate a little more on your move? I must be out of the loop on the details. How is your move going to impact your presence on the Dice Tower? And thank you for the kind words, Dee, and many, many other people that have been sharing kind words in the chat. So, just in a nutshell, there are familial reasons why I'm moving back to the Midwest. So, without getting more specific than that, there are just reasons, family-related reasons why I'm compelled to move back to the Midwest. And so while it's going to be, it's difficult leaving a place that you enjoy and being around people that I love interacting with on a daily basis, that part is very, very difficult. It was a decision that I felt needed to be made, but it didn't make it easy. It certainly wasn't an easy decision. But thankfully, to elaborate more, I am able to stay with the Dice Tower full time. So I'm still going to be producing content weekly. I'm going to have weekly reviews. I'm still doing a lot of things behind the scenes. I'm doing a lot of editing, which was already a pretty big part of my job here in Florida. I'm going to still be doing live streaming from Indiana once I get the studio set up there, and hopefully that will go relatively quickly. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to be still coming back down here to the studio multiple times a year for conventions and other special events. I'm still going to be going to conventions with the Dice Tower on behalf of the Dice Tower. So certainly Gen Con will be easy. That's going to be right around the corner. But also whatever other convention Tom wants to bring me to, I'm going to be coming to those as well. So that's it in a nutshell. And then that answered a couple other questions that I'm seeing here. Interesting. Any games you are waiting for that you ordered and do not read rule books beforehand to get in the mood and to know the rules? I do that from time to time. If I know that a game is coming, a Kickstarter game or something that maybe was pre-ordered, I will sometimes do that. Interestingly enough, it was already mentioned earlier, Scythe Expeditions. I don't know if the rule book has actually been released for that already. I bet it has. Usually, Jamie will release those rule books earlier than, before the pre-orders go up. I haven't really checked. That's one I might read the rule book for beforehand. There are a number of games that I've backed on Kickstarter that I'm waiting for, and I think I've read one or two of the early pre-release rule books for them, but I can't think of offhand. So I will do that sometimes. Will we see you at Gen Con this year? Absolutely. I feel like I need to speed up now. Like scroll down. We're almost halfway done already. And do you think that the legendary monsters are needed for dwellings? No, they're not. They're not needed. If you play the game a lot, a whole lot, they're nice for variety. But you don't need them. You really don't. They're just alternate versions of the monsters, so not necessary. Do you read a lot of books? Unfortunately, not as many as I used to. It's a habit that I've fallen out of. I do read. I'm currently reading a couple of books, although right now they're mostly nonfiction. But I used to be much more intentional about my reading. Yeah, I think unfortunately TV has gotten, with the state of TV now, I mean, it's amazing. It's a feast of options for TV. And so I think that has cut into my reading a little bit. But my wife and I have talked about setting aside at least a night a week and make that a reading night. So we may end up implementing that. There's another reading question. How many Kickstarters do you back a year? I don't know. I haven't been tracking them by year. I'm a relatively regular Kickstarter, maybe not as much as Tom would like you to believe. But I have backed a number of Kickstarters. I think I've slowed down a little bit, but yeah, I get several Kickstarters a year. I would say that's probably on the shorter end. I would say double digits, probably double digits. You're an industrial music fan. Seems like a lot of industrial acts are touring, I've noticed. I'm excited to see Skinny Puppy. Do you still see shows, or are you planning to see tours like Ministry or Skinny Puppy? Very, 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 very much excited. From what I understand, this is Skinny Puppy is saying it might be their last tour, which would make sense. I will do everything I can. I don't know the closest town they're playing to Indianapolis, but if they're within a couple hours, I'll definitely try to go. I would love to see Skinny Puppy. I've seen Ministry a number of times, but I would definitely see Ministry again. So I hope so. Yeah, there's a lot of great bands that are touring. Clutch is touring too, and I want to see them. Yeah, I'm excited about the shows that are coming up here relatively soon. Have any of you guys in the Dice Tower team been watching World Baseball Classic? I know Tom follows baseball. I don't know if he's been watching that. I've been seeing the highlights. Like I just saw this morning, I was watching the highlights from the USA-Cuba game, but I'm not following it very closely. I am following March Madness more closely. Unfortunately, my alma mater, the Hoosiers, lost last night. It was actually kind of funny. They lost to the University of Miami. So talk about a little bit of a thing there. My current hometown, Miami, just beat my alma mater, Indiana University in Bloomington. So that was sad. I mean, although I have a lot of affection and fondness for Miami, you know, I'm always going to be rooting for the Hoosiers. That's my team. All right. On average, how many hours a week do you spend playing games that you aren't reviewing? Boy, not many. Not many, honestly. Most of the games that I play now are going to be for the purpose of review. Not all. Of course, I still get a chance to play games that are just games I want to play. But if you were going to go by average, not a lot, not a whole lot. It's just, it's the nature of it. And that doesn't bother me too much because I am very much a cult of the new gamer. I like discovering games. Who does the staging for Dice Tower room sets? Who did the one you're currently in, and what is considered with the choice of games featured? There's no clear answer to this. I mean, Z and I kind of collaborated on most of the kind of the sets, if you want to call them that. This set that we tend to call the beach set, I think has maybe a little bit more of Z's hands in the pie than in some of the other ones. As far as games featured, I think I didn't set the games up in here, so I can't speak to that, but I think just, something that has a nice little look and balance as far as I know. I don't know for sure. Any classroom management suggestions for new teachers? I think what I would say is set expectations early. Don't even let a week get away from you. Really use that first week that you're in the classroom to set what your expectations are for the whole year. Because you'd be surprised how much that can really set the stage for the rest of the year. If you kind of come in and you're not really kind of commanding the classroom, even if you're not feeling that confidence, there's that whole fake it till you make it thing. That's what my mentor teacher told me, and actually it kind of worked. You have to act like you are, in control and you know what you're doing. And even if you feel like you have no idea what you're doing, you can't, as much as you can't let that come across to the students because they'll feed on that, especially in high school. I can't speak for elementary. I only really taught high school. So set expectations early and try to be consistent. That is another huge one. Try to be consistent with what your expectations are. All right. I guess those are a couple of things that come to mind. How many games are you going to borrow from the library to review? No. Tom is acutely aware of every game that's in that library. And if one is missing for even 20 seconds, he's asking, what happened to Patoku? Patoku was there. Where's Patoku? So he would know. He would know. Now I am going to be taking some games with me, but they're not going to be under the jacket, so to speak. Like it's all on the up and up. All right, I'm sorry, I'm way behind on questions, but I'll try to. Was there any fighting over your desk location in the office? I don't think so. If there has, I haven't been privy to those discussions. All right, let's see. Again, thank you very much, everybody, for all of the very kind things that you are saying. Favorite pizza places around Indiana? Well, let's see. In the town of Indianapolis, I really like Basbo. Basbo pizza is really good. My favorite pizza in Indiana is probably in Bloomington, which is the town that Indiana University is located in. It's called Mother Bear's Pizza. That's probably my favorite pizza in all of Indiana. There's some pretty good pizza in Indy, though. I was impressed when I moved there. How's your VW Beetle? It's doing just fine. Doing just fine. So far, so good. Knock on wood. Nice review of Ninja Master. Have you played or are you backing all of the other Funbrick games? So the short answer is yes. So the Funbrick series is a series of these. They're very tall and thin boxed games that come from a publisher called Itten, which is based in Japan. It's a Japanese publisher. And they're probably best known for like Tokyo Highway, if you've ever seen that kind of a dexterity game, and also Crash Octopus. But they came out with this line of Funbrick titles in Japan. And I was so kind of taken with them that I had them imported. So I imported those titles. And actually reviewed a different one on the channel earlier called Viking Seesaw. And then Itten decided to make them available to English-speaking audiences in a Kickstarter. And so although I have all of the current Funbrick games in Japanese, and I had the rules kind of translated, I did go ahead, because I'm very foolish, and I backed all of the English versions too, because, I don't know, I really just like supporting this publisher. I think they do very cool things. I feel like they are carving out a very unique niche in gaming. They're almost more like interactive art as what's the word? There's a word. Pretentious. Thank you. As pretentious as that might sound, I think that they are they're doing something very unique in board games, and so I like to support that. How long have you been surfing? Not very long. I used to boogie board a lot. What size shape board do you ride? I'll ride a long board. And how often did you get out? Not often enough. Actually, I gave my board to Roy because I'm not going to have a lot of use for it in Indy. And so I'm hoping that it's a pay it forward thing and that Roy can get out there and have some fun on the waves. What are you most looking forward to once you move to Indiana? Family, for one, and also reacquainting with the great group of friends and the game groups that I had the pleasure of being a part of up there in Indianapolis. Again, it's an amazing gaming town, and I know some wonderful people that I've kept friendships with over the few years that I've been down here. And so I'm looking forward to seeing them again and getting back into those game groups. And I'm going to need their help because I need those game groups to help me so I can keep up with my reviews. All right. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Rainer asks, what is your least favorite candy? The answer is whatever candy you're offering me, Rainer, because I know it's going to be some combination of disgusting, salty, or disgusting. If Rainer comes up to you and offers you candy, be very skeptical. Be very cautious. Will we see you in top 10s after you move? Yes, absolutely. Mike, you're such a nice guy. Don't you think you were a little harsh to Claw of Saria, saying it looked like hot garbage, considering it's the maker's first game? Maybe. Sometimes it's a good lesson to be thoughtful about what you say, and sometimes maybe I say things that are a little bit harsher than I intend, and maybe a little bit more flippant than maybe should come across. Sometimes in all of these shows, but on that show specifically, live stream, where we're kind of giving, oftentimes some just kind of quick first impression hot takes. Yeah, sometimes things can come across a little bit more harshly than they should. And so if any offense was taken, I apologize there. Are you looking forward to Chip Theory Games' new Elder Scrolls game? Apparently it's based off of Too Many Bones. I'm very much looking forward to it. I've seen a couple of sneak little peeks. There was a copy of it kind of floating around at Dice Tower West, and I kind of looked over someone's shoulder at it. Very, very intrigued. I like the IP, and I like Too Many Bones. So yeah, very, very excited about that. Kabuki asks, what drew you from California to Indiana in the first place? It was technically from Las Vegas to Indiana. I had moved from California to Las Vegas, and then from Las Vegas to Indiana. It was a friend of mine was living in Bloomington, which is the town that Indiana University is located in, as I mentioned before. And I came out and visited him for a week, kind of fell in love with the area, fell in love with the campus, and applied to Indiana University, and I was accepted there. I was going to UNLV at the time, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And once I got accepted to Indiana University, my friend said, hey, come and stay with me, and that's what I did. That's what drew me here. Or there, not here yet. What's your favorite song from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s? DJ Dan, I'd love to answer this question, but I can't. This is too hard for me. It's hard enough coming up with albums, top songs. It would be really, really rough. I don't think I could do it. If you put a game as your top 10 game of all time, but never officially reviewed it, is it possible for the publisher to seek out a seal of excellence from you? This is a very interesting question. I have no idea. I really don't know. That's something that I would have to ask Tom what his thoughts are on that. That's a very, very interesting question. I suppose if it had not been reviewed by me specifically, and I hadn't had a review, but I rated it an 8.5 or higher, I really don't know. That's a really interesting question. If I remember after the end of this, I'll ask Tom about that, because that's intriguing. If you miss Chris too much, I'll gladly travel from Muncie area and take you to dinner and drop pun after pun after pun. Jason, you're in Muncie. I have friends in Muncie. All right. What's your kitties' names? Pip, which is short for Pippin, and Raven. Where about on the West Coast are you from? Southern California, the San Fernando Valley. I went to North Hollywood High School. That area. I did end up moving to Northern California around Santa Cruz later on. That was after graduating high school. Thoughts on running a Dice Tower Midwest? There are a lot of fans in the Midwest. Yeah, that's above my pay grade, Josh. What job did you do before this? I was teaching. I was high school teaching. Vanessa says, I'd just like to say, Back from the Dead is now my favorite go-to clip for a quick laugh. So thank you for that. You're welcome, I suppose. That's like all of these things that I kind of end up, I don't know. That's just a thing. I didn't put any thought into it, clearly. But if people enjoyed it, then that's good. That was a fun list. I've answered this question before, but I'll answer it again. What is your opinion of Mage Knight? I get to kind of show that I'm not a member of the official Solo Gamers Club by saying that I have not played Mage Knight. I've read the rules, and I don't think it's for me. I really don't. I'm not saying I would never play it, but I'm not going out of my way to, honestly. I know it's very, very well regarded amongst solo gamers. Let's see. Is there a particular number of games one should have played to be able to come up with a respectable top 100? Well, at least 100 is the joke answer. No, not really. Not really. If it's something you feel that you've got 100 games that you can compare against each other, and have at it. That's what I say. Thank you for the super chat from the Czech Republic. So awesome seeing all of these people from around the world. That's where my wife is Czech. Scythe Expeditions rulebook is out. Good, good, good. Oh, my finger is hovering over the buy button for Hoplomachus Victorum. When do we get your thoughts? And is it the easiest chip theory game to get into? So I'm gonna not go into great depth or detail here because it is a game that I will be reviewing, but it's gonna have to wait until I get my studio set up in Indiana. It's a big game, and it's not something that I can kind of push through here during this last week. I think, based off of the chip theory games that I have played, Too Many Bones, Cloud Spire, Burn Cycle, I do think that Victorum is the easiest one to get into. I was actually surprised at that. I didn't realize going into it that it was going to be like that. While it's still a game with a whole lot going on, very clearly a pretty heavy game, I do think it's the easiest one to get into. All right, so I will be doing a review on that one in the imminent future. If you were a board game designer, which existing game would you like to have been board game designer for, and why? Wow. I mean, I suppose the easiest thing would be to say my favorite game, Dwellings of Eldervale. But I would probably like it to be something like Ra, a game that I just think is such a simplistic rule set that creates such an amazing experience around the table. So I'm going to say Ra. So yes, let me clear this up. Is Wildlands in your top 100? Yes, I made a mistake. Wildlands was accidentally, mistakenly left off my top 100. You can rest assured it will be back next year. That was my bad. Chad, I didn't play the Star Wars deck building game. I'm sure it would be fine. It sounds like it's very similar to Star Realms, which is a game that I think is okay. I don't love Star Realms. I know I'm kind of in the minority there. But I do like Star Wars, so maybe I would like that little force mechanic thing. Maybe that would be enough to make me want to get into it. But I don't know. I'm not rushing out to play it right now. Okay, I'm going to try to go faster here. I'm sorry. I'm way behind. So give me a moment. Ooh, I'm getting dates for Skinny Puppy. Cincinnati's doable. Oh my goodness. People keep thinking I'm going to be stealing games from the library when I leave. I want to keep this job, folks. I'm not looking to do anything that's going to get me in any kind of trouble. It is funny though. We were talking about in those Back from the Dead games. We were joking about there were a couple of games that I wanted to get back, and a couple of them here were in the library. So I would not do that, of course. What was the first official segment with the Dice Tower after you officially got the job? That's a really good question. I have no idea. I really don't remember. That would be hard to figure out too, I think. I don't know. It was right after I came, we went to PAX Unplugged. That was the first convention I did as a full-time member of the Dice Tower team. And then we came back from that. I really don't know. That's a good question. Another greetings from Mexico. Yes, we've got a lot of representation from Mexico today. What is your favorite West Kingdom game? Paladins. Paladins of the West Kingdom is my favorite. There are questions I have already kind of referenced in earlier questions, so I'm just trying to make sure that... Any plans to come out to the San Francisco Bay Area anytime soon? I don't know about soon, but I'm hoping relatively. I love the Bay Area. Love it. Have you dabbled in game design? If so, do you plan to continue with it? I'm dabbling. Dan, my podcast co-host and I are dabbling right now on a game that we're hoping to bring to a crowdfunding soonish. Oh, let's see. I saw you were able to table Unconscious Minds at a con. Do you feel this game could be a top games of the year? So stoked for this one. Yes, I did not play through a full game. I played through a few rounds of it. I think that it absolutely could be one of the top games of the year if it's released this year or next year. Yeah, I do. I feel like it could be. I couldn't say that for sure, but I certainly think it's in the mix. I think it's something that's in the conversation. Yes, I will miss the Florida weather. Absolutely. All right, I'm gonna zoom down to the bottom here. Okay. Well, now we're not getting a lot of questions. Oh, knowing you've been into trick takers recently, what has been your current favorite? There's been so many good ones here lately. I've really enjoyed Cat in the Box. I've really enjoyed 9 Lives. not a new game, but American Bookshelf is a game, or Bookshop, sorry, is a game that I played recently. I really like that game. Yeah, I've really been digging these trick takers that are coming around with these kind of little twists. Ghost of Christmas. What's the best Mind Clash game? This is a tricky one. Probably, I probably would still go with Anachrony for me. Yeah, that's what my gut tells me. It's probably Anachrony. Kabuki asks, I know Z liked Nemo's War. Have you ever played it? Opinions on that solo classic? Yeah, I've played Nemo's War many times. It used to be in my collection, and it's not anymore. That doesn't mean that I don't like the game by any means. I still think it's a fantastic game. I just feel like I kind of played it out, and so I ended up kind of passing it on. But yeah, it is a classic, and it's a classic for a reason. It is a game that you have to be okay with a lot of dice rolling. You have to be okay with dice checks and all of the things that go along with that. But it really creates a pretty unique experience once you do. Mike, do you have any standout favorite scenarios in Final Girl Season 2? Well, first of all, I just received it not long ago. And then it was right before Dice Tower West. So basically, I got it before Dice Tower West. Then we were gone for a week. And then I'm packing. So I really have not had a chance. The only scenario I've played in Final Girl Season 2 is the one that I played on my DiLisio factor, which was the Big Bad Wolf scenario. So I can't say yet. I am very, very excited about it. Super, super looking forward to it. So yeah, I dig it. Josh is saying maybe Burn Cycle is easier than Hoplomachus with the playthrough guides there. Yeah, maybe so. Both of those, and I will say that I like that as more and more of the chip theory games are coming out, they are getting easier and easier to get into because they have pretty steep learning curves oftentimes. And so I would agree that I think Burn Cycle was easier, much easier than Cloudspire to get into. And Hoplomachus Victorum is in that same kind of a realm there. Have you played Carcassonne solo with the rules on the Z-Man site? I have not. I know this is probably going to get me in trouble, much like the Mage Knight answer got me in trouble, but I'm not a huge fan of Carcassonne. I've played it a ton of times. It was never one of my favorite games. Scrolling down, scrolling down. Would you consider designing solo modes or solo-specific games? I mean, maybe. I haven't really... I did do a little solo variant for the game. What's that game called? It's one of Z's favorite games. With robots. You've got dice. It's a renegade game. For the life of me, I can't remember it. But I did a little fan-made solo variant for that one. It's bugging me. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway. Maybe. Greetings from Washington. It was great to meet you at Dice Tower West recently. I don't know if you answered this, but will you keep attending Dice Tower West in the future? I sure hope so. I plan on it. So, fingers crossed. What are some of your hobbies outside of board gaming? Probably mostly music. I mean, is that a hobby? I think it's a hobby. I'm going to call it a hobby. Listening to music. Reading, although I've already mentioned that I've not been terribly good at reading. Watching TV and movies. I did enjoy surfing, although I didn't get out as much as I should have and would have liked to. But yeah, that's probably... Some people talking about I made you a mixtape. That's the game that Dan and I are making. Someone's telling me that the Alien and Thing scenarios. All right, well, I'm going to try them all, but maybe I'll start with those. Can you do another top 100 analysis video, either with or without Board Game Co. channel? And then right beneath it, you summoned Alex. All right. Hey, Alex. Right. Sentient. Thank you. That's the game. Yeah. I on BGG, I did a little very simple solo variant for Sentient. That was, I think, I don't know. Anyway, it's been a while since I've messed with it. What are your thoughts on Wonderland's War compared to Quacks of Quedlinburg? Well, I understand the comparisons. I really do. I guess it depends on how much you're willing to invest time-wise into a better, in my opinion, thematic experience. So Quacks of Quedlinburg is maybe a purer type of a push your luck bag building, bag drawing game. But quite honestly, I would prefer, in most cases, I like Quacks quite a bit, but I would prefer in most cases to have what Wonderland's War brings, because I think it's so much more of a rich experience. My biggest issue with it is it feels a bit long. I wish Wonderland's War was just a bit tighter, a bit quicker to play. If so, it would have been just a slam dunk. It's still very, very good in my opinion, but I wish it was a bit shorter. That's my only kind of complaint there. I have not played the Arc Nova solo variant outside of the one in the book, so I'm sorry, I unfortunately can't help you on that one there. Why do you only like boring games about dirt and logs and generic spaceships? Huh. I'm trying to figure out what this is in reference to. Hey, look, if you can make a good game about dirt and logs, more power to you. I'm not sure what you're referencing on that one. Do you play any instrument? Sadly, no. I've always wanted to. And well, look, the truth is, if I really wanted to, I would. I would take the time to learn it and practice it. But I have not. I have not done that, unfortunately. It's been something I've always would have liked to have done. It's never too late. It is not too late. Do you get into any historical war games? Not a whole lot. There have been some that are on the lighter, more Euro-y end of things that I have played and enjoyed. Shores of Tripoli would be maybe one example of that. But I don't play them a lot. They're generally not in my wheelhouse, although I try to keep an open mind about these things and keep my eyes open. The ones that have been somewhat appealing to me have been like Cuba Libre, the coin game. That one might be interesting, but I am a little concerned about the barrier to entry, although I've heard that that's one of the easier ones to get into. But that's one I've been thinking about maybe playing at one point. Oh, Earth? Earth is about dirt. Yeah, maybe it's Earth they were talking about. Would terraforming Mars be too complex for someone who has just gotten into the hobby? My most complex game is Meadow, and it's a lightweight. Honestly, if you think Meadow is a lightweight, then you probably could handle terraforming Mars just fine. I would not consider Meadow a lightweight. I mean, it's got, for someone that has not played modern hobby board games, there's a lot of things in Meadow that I think would be pretty intimidating. So if you found that to be a lightweight game and the theme, as it says, is really appealing to you, sure. Especially if you can try it before you buy it. I do know there's an app, but I think that costs money. But yeah, I don't know that it's all that. I mean, it's not a lightweight game. It's not a gateway game. But again, if you've played Meadow, I don't think that's a gateway game. That's my opinion. All right. Super chat. When would it be appropriate to ask you about your seesaw? And someone else just earlier asked about the Viking seesaw running joke. I'll tell you the truth. I don't really know. I'm not sure I understand what the joke is, other than Viking seesaw is a silly dexterity stacking game by Reiner Knizia that's part of this It and Funbrick line that I was talking about. And I did a review for it on the channel. And I think the joke probably came about because I was getting a bit of grief from other people here at the studio, primarily Tom. And I think it was just being silly, just kind of riffing with each other about this game. They try to corner me into, making a pronouncement that it's some pinnacle of game design when it's clearly a very silly, but in my opinion, very fun dexterity and stacking game. So I think it's just them giving me a little bit of grief about that game because it's such a ridiculous thing. Oh man. Of these three, Husker Du is my favorite. The replacements are great. So I'm not as familiar with Smoking Popes, but Husker Du. And beyond that, Bob Mould is, I think, a genius. I absolutely like the Bob Mould solo stuff. He's still putting out albums to this day that are as good as anything he did in the Husker Du days. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can answer one more question before we go, because unfortunately, folks, it is getting to be that time. It is getting to be that time. I'm happy to see that somebody said that they, Beverly, played Earth and it made them giddy too. I am glad. I'm very, very glad. I'm still giddy about Earth. Will we see you at Dice Tower East and the Retreat? Yes, you will. You certainly will. Absolutely. Let's end with this one. Are you excited about Andromeda's Edge? Yes, I am. I am excited about Andromeda's Edge. It is a follow-up to my favorite game, Dwellings of Eldervale. And so although, I'm not the hugest space-themed guy, if they can take my favorite game and iterate on it, of course I'm interested. Of course I'm excited. So I hope it's in the same kind of, fulfills the same kind of space for me as Dwellings of Eldervale. All right, folks. Well, it is 1:03 according to my clock, and that means it is time for us to say adieu. But it has been wonderful. Thank you, as always, for your fantastic questions. Thank you for so much of the kind words and just the nice things that you've said, not just today, but ever since I've been here. It really means a lot to me, and I definitely appreciate it. And again, you haven't gotten rid of me yet. It's not that easy. I'll still be around, I promise. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everything. Until next time, this is Mike DiLisio signing off from Dice Tower headquarters. Oh, they can't find the outro. So let me see if I can find the outro. See, so right now, there was supposed to be an outro that was playing. So if I can find it, I'm going to be playing an outro in just a moment. Let's see if this works.